Wow. All right, check it out, y'all. It's your boy Dez. We just took a hard loss to USC, 48-41. But before we start talking about Coach Prime, let's turn on the prime time, y'all. Give me a second. It's a lot more comfortable. Okay, check it out. The positives take away from the game. Let's talk about the most rushing yards we've ever had in a single game. We've never rushed for more than 100 yards in a game. We rushed for like almost 200 on USC. USC is one of the top 10 teams in the nation. And here we are with a brand new squad and just put up 200 on USC. All right, another thing, we got to talk about the youngsters, man. The youngsters that came up in the clutch. We had Cormani Mcclain doing his thing out there. Now, it only shows in the stats that he had a one pass deflection, but that doesn't tell the story. This guy has the eye for the ball. This guy almost had an interception along the corner, but we had that pass interference penalty that took it back. Then he almost had a fumble recovery, but, of course, they ruled him down. And so, but you got to look at this guy's eye for the ball. There was a lot of controversy going on talking about Cormani Mcclain, talking about practice, and what he was doing in practice.
About practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We ain't talking about the game. We're talking about practice, man.
And the truth is, in this particular situation, Coach Prime might have got it wrong. If we think about historically, we go back to Allen Iverson and we think, hey, Allen Iverson was one of them dudes that will really show up on game day and really put up points and really do what he had to do. Now, in this situation, we got youngsters and we got an old school mentality, which he says, I'm old school. I'm not an old fool. I'm an old school. And I love Coach Prime, but you got to think, when I see 7 catches, 196 yards, you know what I mean? When I see what Cormani's out there doing, I'm like, man, maybe practice is a little overrated. One thing I can tell you for sure, you cannot win football games at practice. You got to win football games on Saturdays when them lights is on, when them bright lights is on, and you got them boom, and you got them shades, everybody iced out. But I'm going to tell you like this.
It's funny to me, too. I mean, it's strange to me, too. But we talking about practice, man. We're not even talking about the game, the actual game, when it matters. We're talking about practice.
If you don't have it when the lights is on, it don't matter what you do at practice. Practice, you surrounded by, your friends and everybody, and you're right there. You can make mistakes. When them lights come on and you got the baby coming out, you got Wayne coming out, you got The Rock coming out, you got all these superstars coming out. It's in that moment the situation changes. You can't practice with Lil Wayne right on the sideline with the baby, with all the alumni on the sideline, with all the pressure, the external pressure that you have during game day. You can't simulate that or replicate that or duplicate that. What else rhymes with duplicate? You can't do that at practice. So the people who are gamers, let's talk about Cormani, let's talk about Omarion Miller. They came up, they showed out, and they did their thing. And we got to really talk about that. So the mentality has to adjust just a little bit. But back to the game. Most rushing yards all season, 193 rushing yards. Passing yards, dead even pretty much. USC had 403 passing yards. We had 371 passing yards. All right? The plays. Everybody talks about how we don't ever run the ball. All right, we had 90 plays from scrimmage, 45 run, 45 pass. Dead even. 50-50, the most balanced game that we've ever had offensively this season. So we got to talk about that. That's also a positive. Time of possession. We actually won the time of possession over USC, the number 8 ranked team in the nation. We had the ball for 32 minutes. USC had the ball for 28 minutes. So you think about if we had Travis Hunter, if we had Shiloh, if we had these pieces together, if we didn't make the mistakes and have our punt blocked, if we didn't miss the field goal, if we were able to get a solid onside kick, if we're able to tackle better, if we don't miss our reads in the secondary, man, we right there. And Coach Prime is talking about he's 6 or 7 dogs away from actually being able to turn this thing around, but I don't think so, man. I think we're right there. We just got to get mentally sound and really start to just survive under pressure. We got some dogs out there now. Now, I want to touch on a couple things that people always talk about too, like Alton McCaskill. Let's talk about Alton McCaskill. All right, Alton McCaskill is a dog. We all know that his talent level. We all know what he's capable of doing. We've seen it at Houston. Suffered a really bad injury. Now he's back. But this is a good problem to have, man. Now, if Alton McCaskill was able to just jump back in the uniform and jump right back into the starting spot, that would say something about the other depth that we have at that position. That would say that Savion is trash. That would say that Dylan is trash. That would say that Hankerson is trash. That would say that Smoke is trash. Now, these dudes got pride just like everybody else. They're not about to just sit there and let Alton McCaskill show up and just take over because he's Alton McCaskill. They don't care. They don't give a damn about what he did before. They're not worried about what he did when he was at Houston. They gonna fight for their spot, and I think that's a great sign. So a lot of people in the comments are like, "Oh, hey, we should really be playing Alton McCaskill better." Alton McCaskill. Now, one thing I will say about him is that when it comes to those crucial situations, picking up the blitz, I think he's a better option than Dill. I think Dill makes them have to kind of respect, kind of hesitate on the blitz. Because when you're coming down on a blitz, you can't just come full speed if you see that running back jumping out to the flat. And Dill's really good. He's probably one of the best backs in the nation at coming out of the back and catching the ball and scat, getting loose. So you got to respect that if you're a defender on USC's team. Another thing, we don't have formations really that are suitable, I feel like, for Alton McCaskill's game. If you look at our formations, we run the same formation over and over and over and over again. The only formation that changes up a little bit is when we run the Ross formation, right? But running the Ross formation is only in goal line situations. So Alton's really going to have to just get the ball from handoffs out of shotgun to really get his yards. There's no I formation. There's no pro set. There's none of that I've seen Coach Lewis pull out of his bag of tricks yet. So think about that as well. So anyway, back to these youngsters, man. Omarion Miller, 7 catches, 196 yards, a touchdown. Mikey Harrison, 6 catches, 44 yards, a touchdown. I'm going to call him Mr. Dependable because every single game this guy's getting a touchdown. It's almost like he's like the most solid, consistent performer on our offense at this time because before we just didn't have, like, we were trying to figure out who's showing up. Jimmy showed up and had a nice game too. I got to give Jimmy his props. A lot of people have been coming down hard on him saying, Jimmy's not that guy, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. They don't know what's happening in the trenches. They don't know what these kids are doing every single day. Jimmy Horn, J5, man, I support you. I know that you're a dog, that you're about to have a great season. He's already on his way to having a great season. He had 2 touchdowns last game, really crucial catches. Now, do I wish that you caught every single ball? Yeah, I do. But I know everybody ain't going to catch every single ball, and I know you'll figure that out. You'll tighten that up and get back to it. Let's talk about the mistakes, man. The botched field goal. They had a botched field goal too, which Cormani Mcclain came and cleaned it up. Wow. Real nice. That's good for his confidence. Penalties, man. If it weren't for all the penalties, the interception that we threw, I think would have been right there. Like, think about the interception. We got Shador's scrambling for his life, and it looks like Xavier goes the opposite direction. He cuts in, and Shador thought he was going to cut out. So when you're scrambling, it's kind of hard to run one way and then throw the ball back across your body the other way. So the ball kind of floated on him, and that's why the guy was able to get the easy pick. But man, I'm excited for the Buff season. I'm really excited for everything. Like prime time, I grew up watching prime. So a lot of it is a lot of the hate, man. There's so much hate going on the internet right now that I had to come on here and create some positivity for the Buffs and what's going on over there in Boulder. I'll try to get down there to Boulder not this year, next year, whatever, man. I'm going to get down there. I want to say shout out to Bucky Osakin. I want to say shout out to Reach the People Media. I want to say shout out to the pregame show. Man, I want to say this is a different day. This is the era right now where it's crazy. It's just crazy what's going on in college football. I honestly didn't really watch college football until the playoffs or until the final games of the year. And now I'm watching every single game. I'm looking forward to the games. Like, man, when is Colorado playing? How can I get there? How can I watch it? Because it's exciting, man. And for all the haters that's hating on Colorado, it don't make sense because I guarantee you when USC played Colorado, that was probably the most people that ever watched a USC game this year. And that's probably going to be the most people that watch a USC game this whole year. So it don't matter win or lose. Colorado's bringing them numbers, man. Coach Prime is bringing them numbers. And don't get me wrong, when my blenders already ordered the blenders, when they do come, I will be rocking the blenders in my videos. Just shout out to Coach Prime. Another thing I want to say about the season is this. The season is not over yet. A lot of people think that they lost twice, so the season is over. I'm going to tell you right now, only 3 or 4 programs have won a national championship in the last 10 years of college football. And you take that 3 or 4 programs where you got your Georgias, you got your LSU, your Alabamas, and you think, okay, who else is really winning the championship? So all these other teams are not winning, but their season is not a wash. You can't just say that their season is over because they lost 2 games. And if you look at Oregon played Saturday too, and what was their score in that game? Another 42-6 game. So do we take whoever Oregon played and say, oh, they're trash, they got exposed, blah, 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 blah. Nah, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you get beat bad. And Oregon is the truth. Oregon is a great team. So Oregon wins 42-6 twice, 2 weeks in a row. But I guarantee that team that they beat 42-6, I don't even remember who it was. I got to look it up. It's not going to get as much hate and as many videos and as many clicks as Colorado did when they lost 42-6. So we really got to be fair in our judgment on what Coach Prime is doing and these guys on Colorado's roster here. So politics. Cormani was talking about politics on the team, and a lot of people said, oh, he needs to stay off social media. I was one included. Let's talk about it. Every football team has politics. When you look at the videos from Well Off Media, when you look at the videos from Reach the People, who do you see driving around in the golf cart during practice with Coach Prime? About politics, I'm not too worried about that because every football team has their own political system. If you look at Coach Prime, you see people like Bishop, Shiloh, Shador, J5 driving around with him in practice. You see him in his office. So I can kind of understand what Cormani's talking about when he says, yo, man, it's politics. But the thing is, the best players, the players that he's banking on, are the ones that he's going to hold close. And part of that now is even increased because of the transfer portal. I guarantee you these coaches got a lot more politics going on their teams now because there's some players on the team that they just can't lose. Like right now, Alton McCaskill is a player who we really don't want to lose. But if he doesn't get the ball and start balling out, because he had high goals. He was like, man, I want to get 10 touchdowns. I want to break this record and that record. But if he doesn't get the ball, chances are he can possibly jump back in the transfer portal. So if I'm a coach, I got Alton on my golf cart. I'm talking to him. I'm telling him, hey, man, your time's going to come. I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that we don't get people that I value leaving. Another thing people don't get about Cormani, and they say Coach Prime wasn't playing them. He wasn't playing them. When you play college football and you travel to a game, when you travel to TCU, Coach Prime didn't have to let Cormani travel. When you travel to games, that's money they have to pay for you to be there. You got to think like you're getting airfare, food, room and board, all that on the trip there. Now, there were players that want to be a part of the travel squad, but they're just not a part because so really he's been keeping him right there. He didn't have to let him travel if he wasn't going to play. He could have just kept him right there. I know he's a scholarship player, but still, I know scholarship players that play when I was there, when I was playing football, that wouldn't travel because they just wasn't ready yet for the game. So Coach Prime has a plan. I believe in the plan. And he's always had him there. He went to Oregon. He went to Eugene. He went to TCU. So it's all good. Be patient, my man, and keep balling. And I guarantee you now, the next game, I feel like, who do we play next? Who's the next game that they play? It's Arizona State. Wow. Arizona State's a tough team, man. Arizona State has dogs. Arizona State has number 4. Number 4 is crazy good. So Arizona State has dogs, and they're going to be ready for Coach Prime and the Buffaloes. But I believe we can pull it off. I believe we can get a win. I believe we can get it done. I believe. Anyway, man, like and subscribe for more content. I'm going to be doing this more often. Let's get it, man. Let's keep it a buff. And like and subscribe. I'll be back, man, with some more content real soon.
Well, give me my darn theme music there, DJ.